Hi, welcome to Realistic Renovations and Refinishing. I'm Sean, and today we're going to work on the countertops. Our countertops are a little bit different than most garage countertops. We used actually wood, 2x material, and we stained it and actually used epoxy resin to cover the whole thing. Now granted, it does look black from afar, but as you get closer, you can see all the wood in there, all the grain and the knots and everything like that, which is pretty much what we wanted to do for this, as well as other parts in our house. So we'll show you the process that we went through and some of the troubles that we found out by using not just this material, but working with the wood itself. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learned something. We did. So if you're wondering what I was using this right here. I believe I bought it on Amazon. Don't quote me on that, but it's basically a set of these right here. Basically for the table, you have that. And this one, which you saw me use. You also have the big piece, has the rubber backing on it so it sticks. Very useful. I like it. First time I've used it. So far so good. Sure saves just using this that comes on the side of it and your hand, so your hand stays away from it. Gives you a lot of grip on it too, so it's real nice. Okay, that's it. So we are going to stain it. We also will be using some epoxy resin. We've never used it before. We've helped some friends with some stuff like that. It's just gonna be a clear top over it, basically protect it, keep it from getting damaged too much. Also, what we can do is if it does get scratched real bad, we can turn around and sand it down, buff it out, and put another epoxy resin. We don't have to worry about the wood itself being damaged. Now, kind of look at this. It does have this stuff right here. So it does have like big knots, and I didn't trim it down, so it's nice and perfect. We wanted it to look that way. We actually made a tabletop that was kind of like this, and we absolutely love it. We love the basically the rustic without being total trash. Same thing was that. We like all the knots. It actually brings a lot of character out to the tabletop. Also like over here. So again, this isn't meant to be perfect. If we wanted to be perfect, we would actually rip it down and not round over the corners like I did in the center. So right here I rounded the corners or rounded the edges. That way it actually gave it like it was actual wood we bought from the store, just slapped it together. So now we just got to do the staining process, let it dry for a couple days is probably what we're gonna do. And then we'll move on to the epoxy resin. So I got changed. Way too nice clothes to be staining in. I usually get it all over myself, so I'll go ahead and change, and you'll see me on basically time lapse. Okay, see you then. Shut up. So right now we have the table stains. It's up here, it's level, both length and width. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a product called TotalBoat Tabletop Epoxy. We've never used it before. We're not sponsored by them by any means. It's a product we've seen in other videos, done a lot of research. What's one of the better epoxies from what a lot of people say. So the product for wood and stuff, we have to do 2 seal coats. So the seal coat is basically to make sure it soaks into the wood. It's gonna keep bubbles from happening on when you do the final flood coat. For the 2 seal coats, it's 1 ounce per square foot. So this being 2 feet wide and 7 feet long, it's 14 square feet, so 14 ounces. Basically 7 ounces of each, part A and part B, the resin and the hardener. We'll mix that up. We'll give it basically coat the whole thing, make sure it soaks in, and then once it dries in 4 to 6 hours, or when it's ready about 4 to 6 hours, we will put the second coat in, and then 4 to 6 hours after that, we'll do the flood coat, the final flood coat. The flood coat is 3 ounces per square feet, so do the math on that. So we will go ahead and clean this off, which is pretty clean right now. She's just finishing up, or was just finishing it up, and we will mix up some product and see how it works. We'll let you know how we like it and how it works, and probably how we screwed it up. So anyways, we'll see you then. Okay, here's the tabletop epoxy, part A, part B, the resin and the hardener. We have it pre-marked because there was no line for the 7 ounce, so we marked it in between 6 and 8. I figure that's where 7 goes. Most countries have 7 in between 6 and 8. Then again, this is America with public education, so who knows? We'll go with the resin first. As you can see a lot of the ripples and stuff like that. That's because it's such a thin coat. That'll go over, it'll get better the next time you do the next stage. And then the third stage, which is the flood coat, that'll be a nice, even, thick coat all the way across. So we will see. We don't worry about the bottom. What we'll do is when we get this done, we'll just basically take a knife and cut all the bottom little drips off and stuff. We're just making sure that we don't get it on anything but this. So, see ya in 4 to 6 hours. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay, so it's been 4 hours. As you can see, some of the stuff is actually soaked into the wood, and that's exactly what you want. What it'll do is it'll seal this for when you put the flood coat on. It'll actually be nice and clear. I do have some holes I have to fill in, make sure it's all done. So we're gonna go ahead and do another flood coat, or sorry, another seal coat, and we will let it go. It is still tacky, As you can see, it kind of sticks. There's my fingerprint. And that's exactly what you want. You don't want it to dry completely because it will actually not stick to itself. You'll have to sand it down, which we don't want to do. So we're gonna go ahead and do another seal coat. Okay. Okay, so second coat's done, seal coat's done. We do have, I don't think it's leaking through, I just think it's kind of filling in that gap. So this right here, I need to fill in again. I'm probably gonna do a third seal coat. Now, there is bubbles that show up, and you can see them right there if you saw that one, probably not. They basically show up in between the two boards. So in the crack of the boards where they join, there's little bubbles that show up. So if you ever watched one of the videos, this goes a long way. So let's see if I can get this side. Actually not too bad. Like right, yeah, right there it keeps going, so it keeps sucking in some of the resin. So we'll see. Okay. So again, come out here in about 2 hours, or about an hour and a half. Torch it again, make sure all the bubbles that come up through the center are gone, and we may end up doing a third coat. I kind of want to fill this spot because I don't want that gap right there. I actually want to be able to have the flood coat go over it. As you can see, there's it keeps just soaking through and coming out the side. So these were real tight. This one had kind of a gap in the center, or a gap between the two boards. So we'll try to fix that with, put some tape across it, fill it in, and then we'll probably let it go and do the flood coat, the third one. So when you have these, you can see it's kind of ripply right there. This is self-leveling. It will level out over time. It's somewhat watery, so it'll level out eventually. Give it some time. When we came out here, the wood actually was soaking some of the stuff in, so it looked kind of bad. But again, that's what it does. That's what the seal coat's for. So you can seal the wood before you put the top coat on, or the flood coat as they call it. So we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so this will be the third coat, seal coat. What I want to do is fill in these gaps right here. So the resin is actually going down into the hole. We should be able to fill those in. We're going to put a piece of tape over this to be able to fill that in so it's nice and even. And I think the only other spot we have is right here. So we'll fill these in real well. We'll kind of level out some of the stuff. It's leveling out as it goes, but once we finally do the flood coat, it'll actually cover everything up. I just don't want to have these stuck in the flood coat where it kind of seeps in there and makes it a little bit little indentions and stuff like that. But overall, doing good. So to show you what I was talking about, this is just basically a little dam. That way when we fill it in, it fills this spot in. You should be able to, when we get this done, be able to pull this off fairly well. Might have to clean up a little bit, but overall it'll be good. I've seen it done on different videos and stuff like that where they made like a little dam for this, the resin not to fall through the cracks or stuff. We'll see. So, okay. So my little plan did not work. It actually leaked through the bottom, and I tried to fix it by basically putting a super glue dam on the end. That is probably not a good idea. Hopefully when it covers it, it kind of takes care of a little bit of that, but this is the back side right here, and this is the far side away from everything right next to the washer. So hopefully it'll hide it. I'll just put something there, like my hand. So, but the rest of it looks pretty good. We're gonna do the flood coat now. 3 ounces per square foot. So for this, 2 by 7, 14 times 3 is 42. So we'll mix it now and time lapse through that. So that's not too bad. It's basically a flood coat is what they call it. Basically it's you mix the resin for it and you use a 1/8 inch notch trowel. So you can pick these up at, I think I picked these up at Lowe's or something like that. They're like $1 something a piece. Of course now it's stuck to it, but it has different sizes. It has the 1/8 inch was what we're looking at. I did torch it real quick. Now in a couple, in a little bit, I'll come out here and torch it again just to make sure all the bubbles that appear with it go away. There's some that just kind of pop up every once in a while, and we'll see what it looks like in a couple hours. Now, we won't mess with this. This is the final coat. What we will do afterwards, though, is we will sand it and buff it if we really want to. I'm not sure if I'm really willing to, because that's a lot of work for that. If it turns out fairly well, I'll leave it like it is, and it looks really nice right now. So, we'll see. Sanding it basically will make everything flat, polish it and stuff like that. That we will do for the other rooms, but this one, I may do that. I may do that with this piece over there, which goes under the TV, just because it's such a small piece. I don't want to mess up this big piece and have to redo this. Again, this is a garage. I will end up messing this up by doing whatever I need to on it, and you know, if it gets scratched, I can sand it down then. But again, we may do it just to see. Practice, 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 practice. It's not too bad. Real nice and shiny, real thick. So it basically leaves about an 1/8 inch thick. So, okay, we'll see you in a couple hours or tomorrow. Bye. Okay, this is not finished. It does have to be sanded. The only reason I moved it down here is because I don't want to sand this one, and I'm not going to sand the top. I'm just sanding all the drips, as you can see right here. Looks like my table's melting. I will sand the drips off and everything like that, make sure it's nice. But I didn't want to break out all the sanding equipment and everything like that until I had the other top done. But it is nice and shiny. Shows the wood real well when you look at it. From far away, it almost looks like you can't see the wood, you can't see the grain, but when you get close up, you really see it. Okay, here you go. Nice reflection, permanently mounted. Yes, there's the drips on the bottom. Me and Jill decided to leave it that way, just as more of a fun thing. No biggie. I can sand it off if I wanted to. It'll sand off easy. But we liked it. We thought it would make a nice little touch, especially the ass paint we went through to do all this shit in the garage. So with this one, we did do this one. It's more of a, how do you put it? It's more of a satin finish. It's not super gloss. During the sanding, I think I kind of messed it up a little bit, but not too bad. Kind of gives it a different effect. So while that one's nice and shiny and gloss, This one is more of a satin color. Real nice. Bullets on there. So if anybody's wondering, that's a A10 bullet and that's a F15 bullet. So, curiosity. So it turns out real nice. Okay, thank you for joining us, and hope to see you next episode. If you like this kind of stuff, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We put out one every week, minimum. We might start putting out more if we get more people that are interested in our stuff. So hope to see you then. Thank you very much.